Hey everyone, Kevin here, and right now you are watching probably the last video of the React Hooks series. And that's because I already covered the most important ones, the ones that you might be asked about during a job interview, for example. Okay, what would you do to improve the performance of a React application? And you can mention the Mimo, the use callback that we just discussed. If someone asks about how to avoid prop drilling, which you already know what it is, and how to manage the state in a big application, you might talk about the use context and use reducer. But right now, I want to teach you how to create your own custom hooks, because custom hooks are very powerful tools. With them, you can create more customizable code that also interacts with the component's lifecycle, and that's pretty dope. Sometimes you can encapsulate like a big chunk of code that just like you would be doing in a regular function. But here's the deal. A rule of the hooks are you cannot call the hooks unless you are on the top level of the function. So I can't, for example, have a function method, let's say, do something, and inside of it calling the use state or the use effect or whatever you want to use. So for these kind of things, you would create a custom hook. So you can call, for example, other hooks inside. Let's think of an example. I didn't prepare anything to be honest, but I'll figure some stuff out. Let's say we want to do a request. Yeah, that's a very good example. I'm gonna create a function. So how we usually deal with requests when we are learning React, we get the use effect, and I'll call the use effect here. And inside this use effect, I can create a function like fetch data, which will be an asynchronous function. I didn't mention that by the way, but you can't make that function asynchronous. Let me see if they send any errors. They don't, but you shouldn't. It's a React rule. And I don't know why I didn't see the error though, because we should. Yeah, I'm declaring right here a function called fetch data, and I'll just call fetch data here at the end. I will also create a state function. Sorry, I use state variable, and this here will have data. Oops, what the hell happened? Something's weird with my VS Code right now. I don't know what happened. And it'll be initially null. I can also create is loading, which will initially be false. So when we start fetching data, we're gonna set loading to true. Then we're gonna do something. We can also, well, with a try catch and on catch error. Let's do that though. What do we have here? JSON placeholder. What is that to use? Let me just see what we get from the. All right, that looks cool. We get an object. I'm just following Copilot right now as I don't have example. Let me just copy that so I remember the shape of this object. Let me put it here. And all right, I'm also creating another one called error. Really weird. Error will be an empty string. I'm just gonna treat error as a string. So if there is an error, instead of logging, I'm gonna also leave the logging though, and I'm gonna set the error to error.message. So what we do right now is see how much logic we are building inside this component, and maybe we are working on a component that needs multiple requests and do many things that require each one of them their own use effect. And as I mentioned on the use effect video, there are better ways than spamming use effects on your components to deal with it. Right now, this is something else. I really need to read this function to understand what it's doing. And we can do a better job at that, but I'll get to that. All right, so right now I have data is loading and error. And I'm gonna do the following. I'm gonna say that if it's loading, I'm gonna show loading status. If error, I'm gonna show the error. And if data, then I'm gonna show the title, the completed, not completed. That's it. I'm deleting that right now. That's what my function is. So did you see the loading? Oh, but loading is still there. Oh, of course. I'm gonna also add a finally here. The finally is a little useless right now. I could just leave it outside, but I think it's easier to read when we have something like that. So I'm gonna refresh that again. It's pretty fast. So I'm gonna try to add some throttling, slow 3G. And we can see, oh, slow 3G is just way too slow. All right, let me try it with fast 3G. Let's see if it's slow enough for our request. Also, it shows that it's loading and then the information that we want. And we don't have any errors here, but if I throw an error on purpose, like right now, let me just disable the throttling and my heart can't handle it. Fail to fetch. So we have everything we need for our request. What I'm gonna do right now is create a custom hook. I can do that in another file, but I'll just add it right here because it will be easier. The name of the hook should start with the word use. So for this one, I'm gonna, what am I fetching? I don't know what that is, a to do. So use to do will be a function. And this one, since this guy is a hook, we can call hooks inside of it. It's not just a regular function method, it's a hook because it starts with the use. That's important. So differently than a regular function, I can just drag all of that up there. What we have here is the same deal, like we are setting everything inside the use effect, everything's correct. But besides that, I'm also gonna, at the end of the function, return something, of course. And what I'll return is data is loading an error. So remember I said that you need to read line by line to understand what's happening. Right now, we don't anymore. If we do const use to do, const data is loading an error, receives use to do. Because see, right here, I know that we are getting a to do, and it's obvious just by looking at this line, data is loading an error, what's happening. So we wrapped the code, we labeled the code, basically. We have a big chunk of code, and we added a label to it. And right now, our app component looks clean. Do you see it? Let's see if it's still working. Everything's still working perfectly. That's how you create a custom component. Sorry, a custom React hook. And how you should use custom hooks to also avoid spamming use effects in your application, or simply avoiding spamming a bunch of weird things before the return statement. The list code you have right here in between the return and the name of the component, the best. All right, I'm gonna give you one more example. This one will be a hook that will, let's say, add events to the page. So let's say that for one hook, we really want to get the width of the page inside the JavaScript for some reason. For example, to choose between if a component should show or not, or if you should show one or the other. So I'll create a hook right now, which will be called use with screen and, oh, sorry, I lost it. And let me see if I already have a suggestion. No, I don't. So for this one, I'll have a screen with, which will start as 0 or whatever. And then we'll have a use effect. And this use effect, inside this use effect, let me just close that. Oops. So we'll have a function that will be, oh, handle resize is good. So it sets the screen width with the window dot inner width. And I'm gonna call this one in 2 moments. One of them is just as I declare it, because I want the hook to already have the initial value as this one. I can even add that here. That's also an option. And the other thing is I need to add an event, which is a resize to the window. So when the window resizes, I'm gonna reset this value. And in case the component that uses this hook is unmounted, I want to remove that event listener. So I'll return. Let's see if I have a suggestion. No, it's all right. So if we unmount the component, I want to window, remove event listener, resize, handle resize. All right. And I think that's all we need. So I'll return the screen width, this one. I'll put the screen width here. Screen width receives use screen width. And I will put this screen width as an H2 right here. Let's see if it works. So right now, 995. Let me open DevTools, and it instantly changes. And you can go create, and you can go creative right here. You can create different customs to do different things. You can create a hook that helps you managing the local storage and maybe storing a form as you write in the local storage. So if someone refreshes the page, you can still see the form filled instead of losing all the data. And that's it. I really hope you liked this video. Our series is probably over right now. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel, send it to people that might be helped by this type of content, and see you on the next one.